Do, 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 do. Okay, welcome, welcome. Wow, oh my goodness. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're joining in from. I'm so delighted to welcome you to the Friday night hangout. Yes. And this is our first episode in this new beautiful month of July. And we're going to be kicking it off right by talking about meaningful relationships, right? And so tonight we're going to be looking at the power of relationships. Yes, you heard it right. The power of relationships. Very, very important. You know, when the second half of the year, a lot of us have set out goals for ourselves. You know, we're preparing for the remaining half of the year. And, you know, if there's a lot of things that we need to review, and there's some strategies we need to put in place. And one of the key things we want to look at as a very, very important resource for getting us to where we want to go to is relationships. Now, a relationship is a connection between two people, two or more people. So when you have that connection, then you're in a relationship. And meanwhile, there are different kinds of relationships. So, but we're not going to go into the types of relationship tonight. We're going to be talking about the power, and I'm going to qualify the kind of relationship we're going to be looking at today, and that is positive relationship, because there are some relationships that are very toxic, and you need to get out of those relationships. But tonight we're going to be looking at relationships that are empowering, relationships that are very inspiring. What power do they have over our lives? How can they take us to that destination we want to go to? How do we harness the power in the relationships we are to achieve our set goals? That is the kind of discussion we're going to be having tonight. And if you're just joining in for the first time, I'm your host. I'm Joy Onyeso, and welcome to the Friday night hangout. This is an amazing tribe where we have conversations on topical issues that can help you to live a meaningful and inspiring life. We also give you some strategies that can help you build your business, that can also help you build your personal brand. So if you're in this space, it's not a mistake. You're in the right space. And tonight we're going to be having inspiring, great conversations that can take you to that place you want to go to. I see you, my dear Chinelo. Welcome. Ozioma, welcome. Mr. Shirley, welcome. Thank you so much for joining in. Get ready. The conversation is already on. And I'm just excited. There's this excitement I have in my spirit today. I was just thinking that, this is the first Friday in the month of in this new month of July. And beside being the first Friday is an opportunity. So every day you wake up is an opportunity for you to, renew yourself. It's an opportunity for you to review where you're going to. It's an opportunity for you to have a new beginning.
It's a Friday night. It's Friday night hangout. Let's celebrate. A season of new beginnings. Let's rejoice. Thank God it's Friday. It's Friday night hangout. Let's celebrate. A season of new beginnings. Let's rejoice. Thank God it's Friday.
Okay, welcome back. Sometimes technology goes crazy, and that's what happened right now. So, welcome back. And I was saying that every day you wake up is an opportunity for you to start afresh. So, give yourself that permission to press reset. So, things are not going well. Don't fret about it. It's an opportunity to start reset and go back. You have the power to really determine where your life takes you to, and don't give that power to anyone else. And so tonight we're going to be focusing on relationships. What power do relationships have over you? What can they help you to achieve? And I want to go back to, for those of us who are Christians, I want to go back to the Bible. And look at the book of Genesis where God looked at man. If you know the story of creation, after creating everything else, he created man. And then he looked at man in the beauty, in the all inspiring thing he has created. And he said, but it's not good for man to be alone. He need a helper. He need a companion. And then he caused man to sleep, and then he created the woman, right? But the key thing I want us to take out of the creation story is that God knew that it's not good for man to be alone. So it is not good for woman to be alone. It's not good for man to be alone. And I'm not just talking about a marriage relationship. I'm talking about relationships. So it is not good for you to be alone. And this is one of the power of relationship. It provides companionship. I want us to think back to COVID-19 in early 2020, right? So if you have started taking relationships in your life for granted, sometimes we get to do that because so much pressure, trying to meet up targets, trying to manifest all your goals. It becomes so easy to be distracted by all of this and to lose sight of the very important things in our life. And I just want to use the opportunity to remind us that relationships are so important in our lives. Go back, just take a walk back down memory lane to COVID-19, early 2020. Most of us had gotten used to going to see people, attending events, and we began to take all of this for granted, right? Sometimes in fact, for some of us, we lost the essence of those gatherings until COVID-19 happened. We were living in the fear of not understanding what the COVID-19 was all about. Then the lockdown happened, and we were forced to stay indoors alone. Even those who know themselves as introverts, they were also tired of staying alone. You know how introverts will tell you, I'm not an introvert, I'm in between. Sometimes I like to be introverted, sometimes I'm extroverted. But even at that, me that like I will say, oh, I want my space. I want my space. I got tired of my space. Wow. I got tired of just staying alone, staying in the house with the family. When lockdown happened, we were now forced to cease all those gatherings, all those meetings, all those. That was when I conceived the idea of the Friday night hangout to create a virtual hangout space. But even at that, we were all looking for that connection again. We wanted to be able to touch, to hug. It felt so weird. It felt so lonely. People felt suicidal. Not just because of the disease that was happening, but because we lost that human touch. We couldn't go to church. We couldn't, just go out to have a drink with friends. We couldn't go nowhere. We were stuck indoors. I wanted to, so it's so easy to forget. It's 3 years now. So a number of us have forgotten that experience. But that's not an experience I will forget in a hurry. Welcome, Monsieur Mamarachi. Welcome. Nice to have you here. Come in. It's not an experience I will forget in a hurry, but most of us have forgotten that connection. Even that person that you felt wasn't useful in your space, what would you have given to be able to just hear that person's voice, hug the person? It was that bad, 2020, right? And that goes to show you the power of relationship. Relationship gives you companionship. It helps you to connect, and it gives you satisfaction. So when you're connected, when you have companionship, you are inspired to be more. You are inspired to give more. You are just inspired to be the best version of yourself. Once you're in a positive relationship, that is that kind of power a relationship has over you. And so fast forward to 2023, most of us have forgotten all that experience. But I want to use this time out to remind us that look around you. What meaningful relationships are you engaged in that you've begun to take for granted? It is time to reignite, it's time to revive it. Because relationship helps to keep you satisfied. They give you joy. It gives you, so there's some people you will be with, and by the time you're leaving their space, you're feeling so energized, you're feeling so excited. By the time you share the laughter, the joke, you will forget all your worries, right? And it is in that space that creativity happens. When you're very anxious, when you're sad, when you're angry, it's difficult to be creative. You need to be creative in a very relaxing, happy environment. And that's one thing relationship gives to you. The second thing relationship can give to you is resources. And I want to dwell on this, especially if you're here and you're not paying attention to the relationships you are building. At this stage in life, you need to be very intentional in the kind of relationships you get into. This is not the time to be for everyone. No. Be very careful the kind of relationship you get into, because relationships really have a lot of power in your life. Now, they can give you different types of resources. In relationship, you can have human resources because you're in a relationship with a human being, right? And if you're engaged in a strategic relationship, it can open doors for you. It can open doors for you as an individual. So there are certain persons that you will know, and they have a huge social capital that you can leverage. So, for instance, you're looking for a job. There are certain persons in your circle that have that capacity to open doors for you, that knows who knows someone. How are you leveraging on that? This is that season for you to think about it. There are certain persons you're taking for granted. Listen, I'm not talking about finances. Relation is not all about finances. No, 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 no. There are in my support system. There are people that they are my go-to person when I need doors open, when I need certain things. I just know that when I talk to them, they can make things happen for me. So, do you have those kind of people in your life? Remember that the Bible said it's not good for man to be alone. Man, woman, the same thing. It's not good for you to be alone. So you need to be in a strategic relationship that can open doors for you. When you're struggling to do everything yourself, there is a limit to what you can achieve. There's a certain grace that comes with relationships. So cultivate that habit of, you know, nurturing your relationships. I'm not asking you to be parasitic. When I'm talking about not always collect, collect, collect. I'm going to talk about how to build healthy relationship just before we shut down. But form that habit of nurturing your relationships. Very, very key, very important. Nurture your relationships. Look around, there's certain people that can open. They may not have the financial power, but they know certain people and they're willing to help you open those doors. Why are you playing around with your ego? Some of us, we don't want to say someone helped us. Hello. Hello. You don't want to say, oh, this person helped me do this. So you want to be, everything is done by you. My dear, if you're that kind of person, you're putting a limitation on your growth, a serious limitation on your growth. You will not allow your ego, your pride will not allow you to grow. Now, relationships also has the power of providing you with technical support. So there are certain people, I've had people come to me, and because they are close to me, I do stuff for them free. I could help them preview. I could do a number of things for them free because I know the kind of relationship we'll have. That's the power of relationship we're talking about. So who is in your space that has certain technical skills that you require? You mustn't pay for everything. So if currently as you are listening to me or watching this replay, and everything you need to pay for it. Everything you need to get it yourself. You need to re-examine your life. An unexamined life is a life not worth living. So make it a habit to continuously evaluate your life, examine your life. There are certain things that relationships should be able to give to you. I was planning on getting a bus for my foundation, right? I had been, making that plan. I was telling myself, we've got to the point where I need to get a bus for my foundation to ease the work that we're doing. I didn't know that some of my friends, God bless them, came together and they were trying to meet that need for me. And so on my birthday, they gifted me a bus for my foundation. A bus. And you all know how much a bus costs. If I were to buy that vehicle now, I'll buy it nothing less than 10 to 12 million naira. And that's what I got as a gift. That's the power of relationship. So there are certain things you need. While you're struggling to get it, relationship will gift it to you. So open up yourself to that. Then there's also the financial resources you can get from relationships. So you need funds and you don't have anyone to give them to you. You have to go to the bank to get a loan. Hello, then there is a challenge. There's some, yes, you may start off, you don't just arrive there, because you need to build credibility, you need to build trust, you need to show that you're worth that investment, right? But I want us to be very intentional. If you're not intentional in cultivating let this be a wake-up call for you, that there is an enormous power in relationship that can take you to the next level. So when you keep praying, God prosper me, God bless me, God will not come down himself to do all those blessings. He releases a certain grace, and it's left for you to step into that grace. It's left for you to step into that and that discernment by cultivating meaningful relationships. So you can need money to start up a business. Look around your circle. Can I get 50,000 from? Can I get 20,000? By the time you put it together, you've raised 500 or 600,000. One of the things I always teach my clients is to say, look around your circle of influence, where you have control over. If you're in need of 500K, 1 million, 200, 100,000, can the people in your circle readily raise that kind of funds for you? Can they do that for you? If you don't have people in your circle that can do that for you, then it's time to expand your circle. It's time to look for other people to add into that circle. Because God created us to be interdependent. Remember, he said it is not good for man, it's not good for woman to be alone. So you need to ensure that you have, this is what gives life meaning. Remember, we've talked about technical support, we've talked about companionship, we've talked about financial. I also want to talk about the spiritual support you get from relationships. Struggles you'll be going through. And when you're going through those struggles, you need, no matter how inspired you are, no matter how self-motivated you are, there are periods in your life where you need people to hold your hands. There are periods in your life where you need someone or some people to hold your hands. And you need to be willing to be vulnerable enough to allow those people hold your hands. You can't be doing power person, power woman all the time. And I've told us that power woman, power man is not that you do things on your own. No. Is you recognizing when it is time for you to accept help. Is you being willing to be vulnerable enough to accept help. That's part of being power. That's part of being powerful. You being able to look at yourself and tell yourself, hey, Joy girl, you can do this, but at this time you cannot do this on your own. You don't have it together. I need my sisters to hold my hands for me to take the next step. That is you being vulnerable, you speaking the truth to yourself. Some of us are so proud. You are sinking and you don't want to reach out for anyone to help you because you don't want to harness the power in that relationship. Hello, hello, hello. Wake up. Wake up. It's not going to take you far. When you find yourself drowning, you cannot help yourself. Scream out and say, help me, I need help. That's why you need that support system. That's why we're talking about the power of relationship. If you don't have trusted people in your circle, then you need to change that circle. So you have people that you should be willing to be vulnerable with, to say, I don't have it together. I don't have it together. I have sisters I would call. If I feel like crying, I'll be crying on the phone. I said, I just need to vent. I just need to, they'll tell me, go on. You don't necessarily need a response, but there's sometimes you just need to pause and get yourself. If I feel like crying, I will cry. If I feel like I will just go on, because I know that's my safe space. That's my safe space. And that's what gives life meaning. Do you have that kind of space? Stop acting all too, I got it together. I don't. Sometimes people writing all kinds of things. I'm like, oh God, can you open their eyes to see? I don't need anybody. I've been betrayed for too long. So how can you be? Are you the only good one on earth? So what you're saying invariably is that you don't want to deal with people because you've been betrayed. So you're the only good person. Hello, come on, wake up. You can't be the only good person. How can you be the only good person? It just means that you made wrong decisions, right? You gave people opportunities and chances in your life that were not worth it. And we've all made that mistake. And that mistake doesn't define you. It shouldn't define your relationship. It should only make you to become more discerning. It should only make you be able to become more discerning. No, yeah, this is something from Chinelo. Chinelo says, I was courageous enough to discuss with my leader how I'm changing my organization name and have gained clarity on what God has called me. I listed all I needed as support from him. And lo and behold, he just said, Chinelo, I love that. This is impact. Send me your proposal, I will support you. God indeed is faithful. Come on, that's what we're talking about. You need to be able to harness relationships in your life. Stop feeling, stop putting when you have people in your life, that you cannot be yourself with, then those people should not be your inner circle. They need to be in the outer circle. So when you have people who, when they're coming to your home, you need to start running around to spray air freshener, to arrange the house, to get dressed. Hello, those people should not be your inner circle because you're not being yourself with them. People that your inner circle are those that, even if your house is in disarray, oh, come on in, see me as I be. You know that we got ourselves. So they know better than to define you by that moment, right? So when you have people you're not comfortable being yourself with, then they need to be in the outer circle. So you need to harness that power because relationship can help you get over fearful situations, problematic situations, tight situations. When you're in ditches, relationship can help you get out of it. But you need to be sure that those relationships are positive, upholding relationship, not one that will tear you, not one that will make you want to be somebody else. You know, people live multiple lives. When you see me, you behave someone else because you feel that I will judge you in certain ways, so you don't want to show me certain aspects. As people are behaving differently, you know, in different ways. You're behaving in different ways. So you want to be in a relation that can uphold you. That's one of the power relationship has. And then spiritually, relationship can give you spiritual resources where you have someone that you can pray with, someone that can speak over your life, someone that can hold the gap. You know, sometimes life will hit you. You don't even know what to pray again. You don't even know what to ask God for. You're struggling to even find meaning to the relationship, right? And so all you need to do when you're in that space, those people who have the spiritual resources that you can draw from, you will see them stand bagam in that space and they will circle you in love and in prayers. Even when you don't see them pray for you, you can feel the impact of their prayers over your life. You can feel the impact of their speaking over your life. And so that's one of the things you want to draw from relationships. Some of us have minimized the impact of relationship because we feel that we've been betrayed a lot. We feel that people gossip a lot. You know, you have to also ask yourself, who am I? Who you are, your value system determines the kind of people you attract. You see, there is an unconscious projection we make as human beings, and those things attract. Have you heard of the laws of attraction? You attract certain kind of things. So certain kind of people will know they cannot come into my space because they know that I will not tolerate those kind of stuff. They will carry their wahala and everything elsewhere. And if they do come, you know how to arrange them, you know how to treat them, you know where the chair to give them to sit down on. No pretenses about it, but in a very nice manner. We need to learn how to set healthy boundaries. Healthy boundaries. So you can't be all pleasing or yes to people. You need to set healthy boundaries. And so you know that, yes, you know, we mistake a lot of things. You're in the workspace, right? And then you call your colleagues your friends. How can your colleagues be your friends? They're your colleagues. So we need to know how to set boundaries to relationships. So, like I said, I mean, there are different kinds of relationship, and it's when you mix them all up, that's when you run into problems. Your colleagues are supposed to have work relationship with, you carry on your personal relationship, and you're telling them, hello, have they earned the right to that kind of vulnerable stuff from you? So we don't allow people to earn the right to be in our space. And that's because maybe we don't value our space enough. For me, you need to earn the right to be in certain spaces with me. No caps. You just need to earn that right. Because I cannot just give you access. So some of us give people access anyhow. I'm not saying don't be friendly. Of course you have to be friendly, but you need to set healthy boundaries. Everybody is not meant to be, I like to use the bedroom, parlor, compound kind of analogy, right? So you don't bring everybody in. Set healthy boundaries. We're workmates. That is how it is. Keep your personal thing at home. And that's why get gossips flying up and down because you're releasing information that you're not supposed to release to people who have no business having those kind of information. And tomorrow you say people are gossiping about you. Hello, why wouldn't they? You have no value to them other than the workspace. So you like they don't have that bond with you. That is not to say you cannot find true friendship in the workspace, but just for you to know you need to separate. You need to separate that, right? So there are a number of value you can get in when you build meaningful relationship, and so you have to do that. Now some of the positive things about meaningful relationships, the power they have over you is that we've said a number of things. Another thing that they can do for you is that they help you to set your priorities. They help you to set your priorities when you're in a meaningful relationship. Or not I remember I said there are negative relationships. I'm qualifying relationship, meaningful relationship, not those negative ones that will make you to be someone that you're not. When you find yourself in a space and you're constantly having to prove yourself, to validate yourself, man, that's not a relationship you want to be in. I have sisters that I don't necessarily have to talk to every day, but they know I got their back and I know that they have my back. I don't need them to prove it to me. I don't need them to do that. So stop asking people to prove things to you all the time. There's certain people that by now they've earned certain rights because you've seen it. It is not when you're celebrating that you know the people that you can call your bodies your own. It is in those dark times when everyone has left you. It is in those dark times when it seems that there is no hope. The truth is, when you're growing, when you've arrived in our climb, when we say someone has arrived in our climb, you will start attracting a lot of attention. And so you need discernment to know those who are really your support system and those who are just around you because of what they can get from you. And this is where a number of people miss it. As you start growing, you lose sight of things that are very important, and you think that everybody's smiling, laughing, and then those ones that are really your person, those ones that have been there for you through thick and thin, all of a sudden you think that they are not up to standard, and then you want to throw them away, and you want to latch on to people that have not earned the right to be in your life. Oh my goodness, you're setting up yourself for a fall. You're just setting yourself up big time. You're setting yourself up big time. So make sure that people have earned the right to be in your space. Make sure people have earned the right to be in your space, earned the right to have your trust. Because relationships can either make you or mar you, especially when you look at marriage relationship. If you become unevenly yoked with a partner who doesn't have your well-being at heart, oh my goodness, you find yourself struggling for the rest of your life. And sadly, some sisters, some brothers have lost their lives in such toxic marriages. So I want you to be very pay attention to the flags people bring, the red flags people display. Don't be quick to wave off things. Let people earn that right. Let them earn that right to sit by your side. You are a very important person. It is not money that defines you. It's not your social status that defines you. By yourself, you have been defined to be an important person. Let people earn that right to be in your space. Do not hand it out. Do not hand it out like sweet. Don't do that. Let people earn that right. Now, when people don't earn that right, there was a time when people would call me and say, oh, I have a daughter, I have a son, I have a friend that needs a job. And I'll say, oh, come, I will fix something for you. And I'll try and fix something for the person. Over time, I found out that because they were getting all these things on a platter of gold, they did not earn it. They never valued it. They are the ones that will give me the most trouble. They become very problematic. They disregard organizational structure, organizational rules, and all of that. They are the ones that will give you the most problem. And then when people grow in your life too quickly, you give them things too quickly without they are earning it, they abuse it. They just abuse it. They abuse it. So let people earn that right to be in your space. Don't hand it out like sweets, like chewing gum. Don't do that. Set healthy boundaries. So what are some ways that you can, and another thing I want to say before I go into the final conversation and we wrap up is, you that is expecting all of these things, right? Who are you? What kind of value system do you have? Are you credible? Are you trustworthy? Do you communicate honestly and openly? Are you accountable? Because these are all the characteristics that you want to have. You can't be expecting what you're not. So you have expectations of me, and you're not. I can't trust you as a friend. You tell me something, and I find that you're doing another thing, my dear. By the time I see your pattern, I will run. My kind of person, I don't talk about everything. So when there I see a pattern, I just disappear. And there's certain things I don't even want to talk about. I see certain patterns, I move quickly. For me to even go into that conversation with you must have earned certain rights for me to want to have that kind of conversation with you. So you want to be careful that you're all what you want to receive. So you want to have a positive relationship. Are you a positive person? You want to get positive vibes. Do you give the right energy? You want people to trust. You want people that are trustworthy. Are you trustworthy? Is your yes yes? Can you communicate openly and honestly with me if you need that? So you need to ask yourself this critical question: who are you? What values do you have? What are your belief system? And when you can come to the table with all of this, clear, effective communication, you're trustworthy, you're credible, you're empathetic, you're an active listener, and then if you're in a emotional relationship, you're there for the person, you're supportive, and all of that, then you can begin to expect the same. And don't lower your standard, please. Don't lower your standard for people. Let people move into that your standard. Don't lower your standard for people, right? So make sure, yes, make sure that you are all that you need from people. And there is this the book of Ecclesiastes. I love that book, and I want us to. I just want to quickly share it before we wrap up. Ecclesiastes 4:9 to 12. When it was talking about, in a summary, that place is talking about how it's not good for someone to be alone. That two, when you go on a journey together, you reap a larger reward. So when you fall, your companion can hold you up. And that Bible scripture says, woe unto a man who is walking alone. Because when you fall, there will be no one to hold you or to help you come up. And that's where I want to conclude for tonight. If you read that book of Ecclesiastes 4:9 to 12, it summarizes the power of relationship. You need people. There are times you will fall. You need people to pick you up. Don't be acting that you got everything. Let me tell you, God did not create anybody to be self-sufficient. He knew the danger of creating people to have everything. So there is something I would need from Ozioma. There is something I would need from Chinelo. There is something I would need from Ezine. And God has created it that way so we can be in fellowship with ourselves. So he doesn't want you to be alone. And so you want to go far. You want to soar like eagle. Then you need to build those interconnections. Powerful relationships. No man is an island. We all need people. Every one of us, at one point or the other, we need someone. So stop acting that you are everything. And listen, you can't be everything to anyone. No, there are certain aspects of you that somebody can find fulfillment with. The person needs to look somewhere else to get to draw some other things, and it is okay to do that. That's why it's important to set healthy boundaries. So there is mutual respect. Any relationship where you don't have mutual respect is going to be a problematic and toxic relationship where one partner is all controlling. I don't feel free to express myself to you. If you've hurt me and I cannot tell you very clearly, I feel hurt by what you've done, Chinelo, and this is why I feel hurt, and then we can have that conversation. Then that relationship is toxic. So, as we wrap up tonight, I want you to go out with this, that there are so much positive things in relationship than the negativity. Yes, there are negative relationships. We're going to talk about that on another day. But tonight, we focused on positive relations. I hope that you've gotten a lot of value from here. And especially for those of us who are vendors, entrepreneurs, oh my goodness, you need that network. This is the final thing I'll say and I'll wrap up. If you're a vendor and when I say vendor, you're a business person and you're acting in isolation, I've walked that route and I see it doesn't pay. You will be limited in your exposure. You'll be limited in your marketing. You'll be limited, my dear. So you need to show up for people so that people can show up for you as well. There are people that just need to mention your name somewhere and then they open doors for your business. Stop acting too proud. You cannot be everything. You are, you are. You, there are certain spaces you cannot get into except your name is mentioned. Even when Jesus Christ was crucified and Christ died, he needed someone to speak on his behalf so that his body would be released for burial. Jesus Christ needed someone to speak so that they will release his body for burial. So we all need someone at one point in time to help us to open doors. So don't be too proud to take that help. And finally, always know that you are a person of worth and you must bring something to the table. Stop putting yourself in pitiable situation all the time. In Igbo language, we say merembe, merembe. You're always acting pitiable. And when I see people doing that, I'm wondering, people will get tired of you. People will get tired of you. Every time you want to collect, you want to collect. What are you giving? What are you giving? There must be something you're able to bring to the table on that relationship. Otherwise, that relationship will get tiring. It will get draining. And the person you're in that relationship would want to take off. So on a final note, I hope you've picked out a number of things from there. If you came too late, not to worry, you can watch the replay. And I hope this has gotten us energized, inspired, and excited to move on to the next season of our lives. I'm just excited for what is going to unfold in the second half of 2023. Exactly, Osioma. Jesus Christ needed someone to speak for him. He needed a man to speak for his body to be released. I never forget that. I never forget that. So when you're acting too high and mighty, just know that there will be a day you will need someone to speak for you. It may be your gate man, you will need to speak for you. It may be your house help, you need to speak for you. It may be that staff you look down on and you need to speak for you. And that's why you need to treat people right. People must not call you, because no matter how nice you are, there'll be people who say you're evil. That's fine. But just do you. Do the best you can. And know that you have done the best you can. You don't need anyone to clap for you to say you're a nice person. When you're doing well, your mind will tell you you're doing well. When you're evil, you will know you're evil. Even when your conscience is dead, you will know. But sometimes evil people use it to brag. They say that when I finish with you, they know they're evil now. That's why they're saying that. So you know when you're good. You know when you're evil. What has been the highlight for you tonight? Yes, I want to know what has been the highlight for you tonight. What is your takeaway from our session tonight? Let me see. Put it in the chat box. What's your takeaway? What's your takeaway? What's your takeaway? I want to be sure we're going out with something tonight. What are you taking out from this conversation with tonight? Let me see. Let me see. What are you taking out tonight? Okay, I see you, Judeka. Welcome, welcome. DJ Floxy. Ozima says very deep. Fina says set healthy boundaries, build good relationship, or let people earn the right to be your circle. That's it. That's the word. That is it. I love that. Oh, what Chiamaka said, this is power packed. Thank you so much. Chinelo says we're all interconnected. We need people. That's the word for the season. Amarachi says, thanks so much, Mom. All right, keep it coming in. Keep it coming in. I'm going to read much later. I always take out time to read, so just keep it coming in. Ozima says, my take is that Jesus also needed someone to speak for him. Who am I? And that's the word. On this note, I will say thank you so much for joining tonight on the Friday Night Hangout. The month of July, we still continue the conversation on meaningful relationship. This is just part one. Next week, we're going to go deeper. So make it a date with us. Next week, Friday, 7 p.m., we're right here to have this powerful conversation. Until I see you next week, Friday, stay blessed, stay exciting, stay excited. Make sure you're doing you and you're happy. I love you so much, right? I love you so much. And I'll see you next week, Friday. For now, it's bye. Bye-bye.